Macomb County, even shopping can be fun. At Lakeside Mall, there's something for everyone. Shops, restaurants, theaters, even a water slide. Its nearly 2 million square feet of space features glass elevators, fountains, and winding stairways.
Plans for the 1.2 million square foot, nearly mile-long Lakeside Mall began in 1972. It would earn its name for the 51-acre man-made lake built on the site of the nearly 200-acre property on what was back then a still very rural area of Macomb County, just north of Detroit, Michigan. Opening as a joint venture between Taubman and Homart, Lakeside Mall opened with 4 anchors and 165 stores in 1976 and would become the 3rd largest mall in Metro Detroit, and the largest mall in the state in terms of leasable space. But the mall would die a slow death with the advent of online shopping, slowly slipping into a ghost town as the city deliberated what to do with the former retail powerhouse.
For 48 years, Lakeside Mall has stood along Hall Road in Hayes, but come July 1st, Lakeside as we know it will be no more.
In 2024, the end finally came for Lakeside, its doors shuttering for good on July 1st. But before it became a thing of the past, join us as we explore the history and end times of this once great mall. Lakeside's grand opening would coincide with its sister mall, Fairlane Town Center, both on March 2nd, 1976. It was a very quiet opening, only handing out free balloons to guests, though a black tie art gala was held at Fairlane the night before, with an encore celebration at Lakeside. Originally planned to open fall 1975, even when it did open, only 60 stores would be ready for the first day. Crowley's and Sears had opened on schedule, while the Hudson's would not open until mid-1977. The focus on the arts continued with the winners of the 1976 Gold Medal Art Show put on display in August 1976, along with painters and sculptors crafting their arts during open hours. Taubman malls are also works of art on their own, and like the others built, custom sculptures were contracted for the 4 original anchor courtyards. The only sculpture with a name, Bruce Beasley's 6-tonner for Julian, stands in front of the former Sears. He personally flew from Los Angeles to assemble the hexagonal sculpture, choosing bright red to withstand the onslaught of surrounding activities. In front of JCPenney, Fletcher Benton, one of around 9 kinetic artists at the time, created the 2 folded circles, and likewise chose cadmium orange to make it stand out. A year later, he would reproduce a smaller scale version and title it Folded Circle / Double. Originally Hudson's, the now Macy's court featured Bucky Schwartz's variation on his previous broken circle sculpture. The smaller and locally based Crowley's department store featured mirrors which hung from the ceiling, though I could not find who created them or when they left. Lord & Taylor's would open as the fifth anchor in 1978 and did not receive a sculpture. Instead, the children's play area resided in its courtyard. The mall continued to gain stores, shoppers, and events the first year, such as an amateur photo show hosted by the Detroit Free Press, and a Halloween costume contest hosted by radio DJ Dick Burton and featured appearances by Winnie the Pooh and I.C. Penguin. In May 1978, a woman was abducted from the mall parking lot, sexually assaulted, and left in a field. 1 week later, at nearby Eastland Mall, another woman managed to stab her attacker when he tried to do the same, leading to the recapture of escaped convict David Ryder and an additional sentence of 18 to 30 years. In December 1978, a young boy walking across one of the iced-over lakes to get to the mall fell in. He was saved by 5 teens who saw the boy plunge. Another man on the mall side of the lake helped shout instructions over on how to resuscitate the boy, which saved his life. The 1979 grand opening of President Tuxedo's new Lakeside store featured appearances by Detroit Tigers players Jason Thompson, Jim Northrup, and Phil Mankowski. That holiday season, Santa would arrive in a new 1981 Chrysler K car, which shoppers could register to win. Richard Simmons would appear before a crowd of 2,500 in January 1981. 10 police had to guard the stage to keep women from rushing to touch him, and they would tell the newspaper they had never done an event so crazy. Auditions for the Newlywed Game were held in Lakeside in April 1981, where 30 married contestants tried out to a much smaller and sedate crowd of 200. The 80s were booming for the mall, and in April 1984, the Hydro Tube opened in the southwest section where the food court now resides. Replacing the former ice rink, this indoor water slide featured 2 350-foot tubes beginning on the roof and circled all the way down to 40 feet below floor level. Only 3 other hydro tubes existed at this point, all 3 of which were in Oregon. The rest of the ice rink space was turned into a viewing area for 100 people and 2 new restaurants. In 1985, the mall would expand with several new stores along with the $8 million Henry Ford Hospital Center on an outparcel lot. Coca-Cola sponsored a guessing contest where whoever guessed closest to the amount of bottles with Tigers players' pictures on them in a display won a $500 shopping spree in the mall, hand-delivered by Tigers catcher Marty Castillo. That same year, 3 boys on bicycles in the parking lot would be arrested for carrying 5 pipe bombs on them. In 1986, the Inside Track at Lakeside program for mall walkers was formed, together with the American Heart Association, where mall walkers could win t-shirts and gift cards. The Senate Court at Lakeside has fortunately remained relatively untouched over the years, featuring a large hexagonal fountain that would be covered over to use as a stage for events and for the mall's award-winning Christmas display. In recent years, a man went viral after he went for a swim inside the fountain as part of an online challenge. Police would respond, and the boy was banned from Lakeside Mall. The winter 1987 7th annual men's fashion show would be hosted by LA Law actor Corbin Bernsen, while the spring 1988 show was hosted by Connie Selica of the TV show Hotel.
Though the weather seemed to change from minute to minute outdoors, spring seemed to arrive in full force inside Lakeside Mall last weekend as it held its center-wide event, Spring Inspirations. A wide array of flowers throughout the mall created a seasonal atmosphere accented by fashion and music. The highlight of Friday's garden party was a visit from actress Connie Selica, star of the ABC television series Hotel. Upon her arrival, Ms. Selica and Lakeside Promotion Director Karen McDonald immediately went on a browsing spree through 2 Lakeside stores, Ganto's and J.T. Edwards. The evening concluded with a fashion show of new spring styles personally selected from Lakeside stores by Connie Selica herself. If you missed sampling last weekend's selection of jazz, fashion, and merchandise, don't worry. The spring celebration continues right until this upcoming weekend. On Saturday, music will be provided by 10-year-old pianist Mark Hadley, followed by a Sunday jazz concert from the Krista Grix Trio. Plus, flora and fashion will help you enjoy spring even while Mother Nature is still trying to make up her mind. From Lakeside Center, this is Joe Johnson reporting for City Hall Newsweek.
Also in 1988, 13 students from the Soviet Union made a stop at Lakeside on their tour through 7 cities in America and were given $50 each and 45 minutes to buy whatever they wanted inside the mall. The first Michigan McKids store would open at Lakeside in 1989. 47 of the stores, which were a partnership between Sears and McDonald's, would open across the country, all of which would close by 1991. However, the clothing line continued being sold inside Sears stores. Celebrity visits continue, with model Lauren Hutton giving a health seminar in September 1989 while she was in a wheelchair with a broken leg. Actor Bronson Pinchot hosted that year's spring fashion show as part of an overall comedy and arts themed celebration for the 100-year anniversary of Charlie Chaplin's birthday. In 1992, the Children's Shakespeare Festival was held, where a 17th century garden was recreated to wander through while live lute music was played, and short plays featuring Shakespeare's greatest hits were performed, ended by bringing contemporary music into the shows. Disney's Aladdin's Incredible Journey show came to Lakeside in 1994, the same year that rival studio Warner Brothers opened their own store inside the mall, a short-lived chain that would close all stores less than a decade later. When Florsheim's shoe store opened a new location here, Tigers player Willie Horton appeared for signings, and every pair of shoes purchased got a free pair of tickets to a home game. Frank Capelli of the Capelli & Company Children's Show held a performance here for the 1997 Family Fun Days event at the mall. The 1997 holiday season saw a bit of drama when a father standing in the long line waiting for pictures with Santa got so frustrated he grabbed one of the elf helpers and began to shake her violently. He did manage to escape before security came. That same season, a paper ran a story on Art Joy, a mall Santa who had worked at Lakeside since it opened 20 years ago. He shared that he took the job after his own kids grew up and enjoyed the role, though one time he did yell at a child who asked for nitroglycerin and explosives. By the late 90s, M59 had long since become Sterling Heights' hub of retail, and new developments were happening all the time. Lakeside wasn't worried, still being the top performer on the strip. In 1998, a new hotel opened as an outparcel, and Sears would reopen after a complete remodel, bringing in Red Wings player Kirk Maltby and All My Children actor Mark Consuelos for signings. The following year, renovations began to the Hydrotube area to convert it into a complete 30,000 square foot food court. That same year, a story about a lost piece of jewelry was run after a shopper at Hudson's found the lost lovebird pin on the floor and turned it in to Lost and Found. After it went unclaimed, they told her she could have it, but the woman knew it had sentimental value to someone and went to the papers to run the story. Sadly, if it was ever claimed, no follow-up was ever run. In 2002, a woman would sue the mall, JCPenney, and a construction company after a section of the roof inside Penny's collapsed on her the previous year. An employee at the mall with a day's receipts to deposit was robbed in the parking lot that year. But the bad publicity didn't put a damper on the mall, which added multiple new stores, and the following year Lord & Taylor built a new 40,000 square foot addition to their anchor. H&M would also choose Lakeside to open their first store in the state of Michigan. Nick Cannon hosted a prom fashion show in the center court sponsored by Penny's and 17 magazine to a packed crowd viewing the latest dresses for prom. The next year, teens would cause a ruckus when 3 of them set off a number of stink bombs inside the Abercrombie & Fitch store. But a bigger stink was brewing down the road from Lakeside with the opening of Partridge Creek Shopping Center that year. Developed by Taubman, who had sold Lakeside back in 2000, this upscale open-air shopping center would slowly leach stores from Lakeside over the following years. To compete with this new mall, Lakeside's current owners, General Growth Properties, spent $3 million renovating the mall with new signs and exterior upgrades to make it more pedestrian-friendly. In 2008, a police chase started at Lakeside after Ronnie Lockett fled from the police after trying to use bad checks at the Ethan Allen store here, crashing his car into a bus in the street and then ditching the car inside a condominium garage down the block. The car then catching fire and damaging 2 of the homes. In 2009, General Growth Properties would file for bankruptcy, though Lakeside would continue to operate quietly through the restructure, mostly only appearing in the news for a string of robberies to shoppers, and some more sports players, including Miguel Cabrera and Bobby Hull, holding signings at the DC Sports. In 2012, Katie Carzola, who had a reality TV show called Nail Files, brought her mobile spa to Lakeside and provided free mini manicures to guests. Kanye West chose Lakeside to open one of 21 pop-up stores around the world called The Life of Pablo in 2016, which drew in a crowd of shoppers for its 3-day limited run. That same year, Jeepers Amusement Center would open in half of the lower section of Sears, which had cut its store in half in 2014, and sold the other half to MC Sports. That store would go bankrupt in 2017, followed by Sears in 2018. General Growth would default on its loan in 2017 as well, and the mall was purchased by UK-based JLL. In 2018, police would arrest 20-year-old Tyler Tyndall after he sent messages about shooting up the mall to multiple people. In 2019, Lord & Taylor would close their anchor and the state would force Jeepers to close.
But we're going to begin with breaking news from Sterling Heights, where state inspectors have just shut down the carnival rides at Jeepers of Lakeside over safety concerns.
This is a popular spot in Macomb County for kids' parties, and it's right inside Lakeside Mall.
But the state says 4 of the rides at Jeepers just aren't safe. We bring in Larry Spruill, who's live at Lakeside with this long list of safety violations. Larry?
It's known as the place to be for kids' birthday parties. Jeepers is a very popular spot here at Lakeside Mall, known for its children rides. But Friday, those carnival rides are shut down and in trouble. Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, or Laura, tells Local 4 the rides here at Jeepers are unsafe, and right now Laura is ordering the popular children's spot to cease operations immediately due to multiple safety violations of state law on several rides like Banana Squadron, JJ's Driving School, Python Pit, and Yak Attack. I learned there are multiple violations at the Jeepers Lakeside Mall location. We're talking about missing parts, cracks in equipment, leaking hydraulics, unsafe lap bars and latches, dysfunctional controls, joints and covers, and lastly, failure to inspect and document inspections.
Also in 2019, JLL would sell the mall to Out of the Box Ventures for $26.5 million, and redevelopment plans were announced, which the city of Sterling Heights had been talking about since the previous year. They announced plans to create a synthetic ice rink and other entertainment activities at the mall. But with the pandemic, all plans changed, and in 2022, new plans calling for complete demolition were submitted for approval. It would take 2 years for things to move forward, but in the meantime, the mall continued to wither. Storefront after storefront vacated.
July 1st, the mall's doors are closing. That is the bitter end there, July 1st. 2025, however, is when ground will be broken on a huge $1 billion project that's going to look like this. Take a look.
You've got to see this. We dug into the Local 4 archives for this video inside Lakeside Mall years back. Just look at how busy it was. Today, this is Lakeside Mall. It's just about a ghost town, popular with mall walkers, a few shoppers for the few shops that remain. Make you sad?
It does.
Why?
It's just part of my life. I've been coming here since they opened.
But what you remember as Lakeside Mall will be torn down, and in 2025, at long last, ground will be broken on Lakeside Town Center. Think outdoors, streetscapes, shops, hotels, restaurants, and condos.
Most importantly, there'll be over 2,000 residential units up here. The key to these reimagined town centers is you have to have people living there. So we will have about 6,000 people living up here. This will be a new community, in essence, embedded in Sterling Heights, but what's most important, connected to Sterling Heights.
We met Sterling Heights Mayor Michael Taylor inside the mall. He used to come here as a kid.
And as you can see behind me, there's nobody here. Stores are closed. So this has been a long time coming. The mall has been in decline for probably 20 years or longer. Times are changing, shopping habits are changing, and so we need to change with the times.
Lakeside Mall closed permanently at the end of June 2024. Demolition was planned to begin the following year.